In the heart of this unforgiving jungle, a man ruled with fear, cunning, and sheer brutality. A man so elusive, he evaded capture for over 2 decades, leaving behind a trail of blood, terror, and legend. His name was Veerapan. He was the most wanted man in India, a smuggler, poacher, and killer who outsmarted thousands of police, sparked a war in the wilderness, and kidnapped celebrities without a trace. But was he just a criminal, or a man driven by something more? This is the untold story of the Bandit King, a story of rebellion, betrayal, and the deadliest manhunt in history. Are you ready to enter the jungle? In the vast, treacherous forests of southern India, where the borders of Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and Kerala converge, a man emerged who would become one of the most feared figures in Indian criminal history. He was part myth, part terror. His name, Veerapan. Born in 1952, Kusumunasamy Veerapan grew up in Gopinatham, a village nestled on the edge of a vast jungle. This was no ordinary childhood. His playground was the wilderness. Poverty and a deep-rooted mistrust of authority shaped his early years. But it was the jungle that taught him the harshest lessons. The wild became his sanctuary, the animals his prey. He would become a master of survival before becoming a master of crime. By the time he was a teenager, Veerapan had already built a reputation as a skilled hunter. But hunting animals was just the beginning. It wasn't long before he set his sights on a more dangerous quarry: elephants. Veerapan's entry into the criminal underworld began with the illegal poaching of elephants. It is said that during his reign of terror, Veerapan and his men slaughtered over 2,000 elephants for their ivory. This blood trade made him a wealthy man, but it also brought him to the attention of the authorities. He had crossed a line, and now the government wanted him caught. Veerapan operated in the deep, impenetrable jungles, where even the most experienced police officers were out of their depth. The dense terrain was his ally. For every patrol that ventured in, Veerapan would vanish deeper into the wilderness, eluding capture time and time again. As Veerapan's ivory empire grew, so did his audacity. He wasn't just a poacher anymore. He became a warlord. His men were armed with modern weapons, and his attacks on the police grew increasingly violent. Ambushes, bombings, landmines. Veerapan wasn't just a criminal. He was a rebel. A man who would stop at nothing to protect his kingdom in the jungle. The hunt for Veerapan turned deadly. Over 120 police officers and forest rangers would fall victim to his fury. The jungles of southern India were not just a hiding place. They had become a battlefield. Veerapan's power didn't just come from his brutality. Some say he was more than just a bandit. He was a man of the people. For the poor, he was seen as a Robin Hood figure, a rebel fighting against corrupt authorities and oppressive laws. He garnered the support of local villagers who sheltered him and informed him of police movements. Rumors swirled that Veerapan had political connections, that certain local officials and politicians turned a blind eye in exchange for a share of his profits. These theories, whether true or not, allowed him to stay one step ahead of the law. One of Veerapan's most infamous crimes was the kidnapping of Rajkumar, the legendary actor who had captured the hearts of millions. In July 2000, Veerapan abducted the aging superstar from his farmhouse, sending shockwaves across India. This was not just a criminal act. It was a declaration of power. For 108 days, Rajkumar remained in Veerapan's custody. Despite immense pressure from the public and private negotiations, Veerapan remained unyielding. In the end, the details of Rajkumar's release remain murky. Was a ransom paid? Were political deals made? The truth is hidden in the jungle, along with many of Veerapan's secrets. By the early 2000s, Veerapan had become a figure consumed by paranoia. His reign of terror had brought wealth and power, but it had also brought betrayal. The Bandit King trusted no one, not even his closest allies. It is said that he executed dozens of his own men, fearing they would turn him over to the authorities. His empire was crumbling from within. The once loyal band of outlaws had become a fragmented group, afraid of their leader's growing madness. We've waited years for this. There's no margin for error. Tonight, we bring Veerapan down. After decades of failure, the government knew brute force alone wouldn't capture Veerapan. It would take cunning and deceit. Operation Cocoon was launched, a meticulously planned trap designed to finally end the Bandit King's reign. In October 2004, Veerapan fell victim to his own arrogance. Lured by undercover officers disguised as his own men, he was ambushed. After decades of evasion, the Jungle King was finally caught. On October 18, 2004, the reign of Veerapan, the Bandit King of the southern jungles, came to a sudden, violent end. After more than 20 years of evading the law, of killings, kidnappings, and terror, he was finally dead. His death was celebrated as a victory for law enforcement, a triumph over a man who had been untouchable for so long. For the government, his death marked the end of one of India's most infamous criminal chapters. For the people of the forests, however, Veerapan's legacy was more complex. To some, he was a hero who defied the corrupt system, a rebel who fought back against oppression. To others, he was a ruthless criminal who caused endless suffering. Even in death, Veerapan's legend did not fade. Myths about the Bandit King still circulate. Some claim that he buried vast treasures deep in the jungle, that secret stashes of ivory and gold lie hidden in the wild, waiting to be discovered. Others believe that his ghost still haunts the forests, watching over the land he once ruled. Veerapan became more than a criminal. He became a symbol of defiance, of rebellion, of the blurred line between right and wrong. To this day, his name evokes fear and awe, a legend that has outgrown the man. Despite his death, questions remain. How did a single man manage to evade capture for so long? How deep did his network of informants and allies go? Were there truly political forces shielding him from justice? And what about the wealth he accumulated through decades of smuggling and crime? The answers to these questions may never be fully known. Was Veerapan's downfall the result of his paranoia and isolation? Or was it simply a matter of time before the law finally caught up with him? The truth is as murky as the jungle that protected him for all those years. Veerapan's story is one that challenges our understanding of good and evil. To some, he was a brutal murderer and smuggler who preyed on the weak. To others, he was a folk hero who stood against an unjust system, a man who lived by his own code in a world that had forsaken him. The truth, perhaps, lies somewhere in between. The jungle he called home still stands, but its king is gone. What remains is a legacy that has divided India. Veerapan, the Bandit King, the rebel, the murderer, the legend. His story has come to an end, but the mystery, the fear, and the fascination, these will endure, passed down in whispers, in legends, in the haunting silence of the jungle. The hunt for Veerapan wasn't just a test of endurance. It became one of the most expensive manhunts in history. The Indian government spent an estimated 784 crore rupees, equivalent to 30 billion rupees or $360 million in 2023, to bring the Bandit King to justice. With helicopters, elite task forces, advanced weaponry, and relentless operations, this manhunt turned the jungles of southern India into a battlefield of epic proportions. Attention all Tolkien enthusiasts. If you're as passionate about Middle-earth as I am, it's time to immerse yourself in the incredible tales woven by J.R.R. Tolkien. From the adventure-filled pages of The Hobbit to the epic saga of The Lord of the Rings, these masterpieces are a must-have for any true fan. Unlock the secrets of the Silmarillion and experience the depth of Tolkien's imagination. Don't wait. Click the link in the description to get your copies now. Let's embark on this journey together.